Stronger Marriage Podcast with Trey and Lee. On this podcast, you'll hear real topics about real life. They cover everything from married sex to raising kids to loving your spouse so much that you're willing to forgive them for occasionally being the most annoying person in the world. Trey and Lee have raised 4 boys, been married over 30 years, and somehow still really like each other. And now, live from the metropolis of Childress, Texas, a place so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Here are your hosts for the Stronger Marriage Podcast, Trey and Lee Morgan.
Hey, welcome everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Lee is making a lot of noise during that intro there.
Glad y'all are with us this afternoon, trying to get settled in around the table here.
That's it. I started it. We've had a busy week this week. We have not got. This is Friday. We usually put our podcast out on Wednesday. We hadn't got there. This was Lee's birthday week, and we have spent the week partying. We've been out of town. We went on a food tour. I guess that's what you want to call it. Food tour?
I think that's what, yeah.
Yeah, for Lee's birthday this year, she said, I want to go on a food tour. So we loaded up, went to Lubbock, Texas, of all places. Now you're going, what kind of food do they have in Lubbock, Texas? They have a lot more food than they do in Childress.
That's right,
okay?
that's right.
We live in a small community with like 2 restaurants and 3 fast food places.
That's right. They actually have a lot of really good restaurants in Lubbock. It's a college town, so they have good restaurants there.
We like to eat. We'll admit that. We work out a lot of times so we can eat. That's what we always say.
That's pretty much it.
And
yes, we had a lot of good food, a lot more sweets. I said I think I ate more sweets this week than I have all year. Like,
I think you may be right. We don't eat a lot of sweets.
We don't.
And we ate a lot of sweets this week. We had everything from cake to donuts, multiple cake. Cookies.
We had cheesecake, cookies, ice cream, donuts, pie.
Yeah, we usually don't do that. What
pancakes.
Pie? What pie did we have?
We had the peach cobbler
pie.
pie.
That was so good. Yes, at the pie place.
The pie bar.
The pie bar in Lubbock, Texas. So we had a great time.
We did.
It was fun celebrating Lee's birthday. And we are getting ready to head to Alaska. We're in Wasilla doing a workshop. Got a lot of Alaska folks coming. Have a couple we noticed coming from the North Pole. That's actually what the registration said.
That's awesome.
I thought there's really a North Pole.
There really is a North Pole.
Do they know Santa and Mrs. Claus?
They might be able to tell us some cool stories.
There you go. And then our big getaway weekend's coming up in July. So that will be a big event. Lots of giveaways, lots of goodie bags, special event. Leave the kids, come spend a weekend renewing your just the good stuff about your marriage and strengthening your marriage. And
that's right. It's always good to just have a little getaway like that where you can just focus on the 2 of you. And when you're throwing a workshop in there, man, that's just good stuff.
Yep. You want more info on that, you can look at treyandlee.com. It's on there. We're talking today 7 ways to tell the world you're proud of your spouse or that you're proud to be married. You can do it either way. Say it either way you want to. But I'm a big fan, especially of men. I'm a big fan of men who are proud to be married, proud to be dads, and are proud to be husbands. I have said this in our workshop. There was a time in our world 10, 15, 20 years ago when the Rodney Dangerfields of this world, the big comedians were, they loved to make jokes about marriage. And, I would never let my wife wrap me around her little finger. And, I wear the pants. And it was such a horrible, it was just joking. But yet there was a lot of alpha men.
Yeah, macho attitude.
Yeah, that came along and it was like, man, I'm a man and I don't have a wife. Yeah, I tell you what, the most manly men in the world are those men who are proud to be a husband. They're proud of their wives. They're proud to be a father. Now, this isn't a podcast just about fathers. It's also about mothers. But, we want to tell the world we're proud to be married, that we're proud of our spouse. And we have about 7 great ways to show the world that we are proud to be married, that there is nothing wrong with being married. I love this week on Twitter, we threw out a little post on Twitter that said, how long have you been married? And I think we have had more pictures and more comments from couples. And it's been inspiring, all the couples who have said, we've been married 20 years and 17 years and we are still in love. And Man, I love that. That does my heart good
Yeah.
to hear couples talk about we are madly in love with one another.
Yeah, that is good stuff. So you ready to get right to it?
Kick us off.
Okay, so the first way you can tell the world you're proud of your spouse is to talk about your spouse to everyone. Brag about your spouse. Say good things to them. You know, when you're with them and a big group of people, or even if your spouse isn't with you, and you're with other people, talk about your spouse.
Yeah, we do that about sports teams.
Sure.
We love to talk about baseball. We're baseball fans. We love to talk about Texas Rangers when there's actually something good to talk about with the Texas Rangers. We love bragging on our favorite sports teams or whatever it is. Man, you should be your spouse's biggest fan, and you should want to go around and brag on your spouse to everybody, to talk about your spouse. I love the phrase, the quote. We don't know who said it. We don't know if we made it up or if we just heard it somewhere. But a great affair repellent is to talk about your spouse in a positive light wherever you go, because the world just kind of knows, hey, they love their spouse. That's
right.
all they talk about, or that's what they talk. We talk about our kids. We love talking about our kids, but man, we should be talking about our spouse in the same way.
Yeah, it just kind of lets people know that, hey, they are happily married.
That's it. And some of the things that you can talk about or say, you may want to talk about good things that your spouse does. You may want to say, hey, I'm married up. Social media, I love posting on social media. We're going to talk about that point in a minute. That I'm married. I love posting pictures about my spouse. We'll talk about that in a minute. But just let the world know that you are blessed to be married. That doesn't mean you have a perfect marriage. But man, you should go around saying good things about your spouse behind their back.
That's it. Yep, we give you permission to talk about your spouse behind their back.
That's the truth. Good things.
Good things.
Say
exactly.
good things about your spouse behind their
Exactly.
back. All right. Now, second thing, we brought it up. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there that you can do to let the world know you're proud of your spouse and that you're proud of your marriage is to post pictures on social media of your spouse or you two together. I love that. Yeah, that's one of the things I love most about Valentine's Day are couples who post pictures. And I just think that should be a regular thing. A monthly thing is posting a picture of you and your spouse, whether you're dressed up or not, out getting a cup of coffee, out running some errands. Just let the world know this is my man and this is my wife, my woman, and I am in love with them. You can brag on them if you want, but just, if somebody is scrolling through your Instagram feed, that's where pictures are most of the time. If somebody's scrolling through your Instagram feed, how long will it take them to find a picture of you and your spouse? Mm-hmm. If they've got to scroll down a ton, then I'm thinking that you're way overdue for a picture.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, I was sitting here thinking about your profile picture. On Instagram, it's teeny tiny, and you can't hardly see it. Post pictures of you on your feed regularly. And then if you're on Facebook, you've got a bigger profile picture. We try to put pictures of us as a couple as our profile picture.
We do. We try to keep
Instead
it.
of,
We try
you
to keep pictures up there all the time of us as a couple that are doing things, and I just think that's important that we post pictures, that we keep pictures up, but just not just of our profile picture, but just on a regular basis, a picture of our spouse. It just lets the world know, man, he really likes her. We had one of the nicest compliments from a lady the other day. She's a single lady, and she said, I want to find a marriage someday that I pursue and my husband pursues me like you pursue Lee and Lee pursues you. And I thought, well, that is sweet that obviously she knows us personally outside of just social media. And so she sees us on our personal Instagram pages and things like that. And I just thought, hey, we're setting a good example. Somebody's noticing that, we're proud to be married. We're proud to, chase each other. We're proud to say, hey, this is my spouse. So post some pictures. Now, we notice some things about men and women difference in their stuff. Men love to post pictures of their hobbies. If it's hunting, if you got, their vehicles, their favorite sports team. maybe what they do. They love to post pictures about that. Men, I challenge you to post some pictures of your spouse. We threw that out there probably 9 months ago on an episode that hey, check your Facebook, and if you don't have any pictures in the last 6 months of your wife, you need to have one up there. And I had this guy from Kansas that emailed me, and I thought it was fantastic. He goes, I was a little hurt because I thought, there's no way I don't have a picture of my wife. And he said, I got to looking, and I had pictures of all my tractors and my combines, and he was a farmer in Kansas. He said, I had no picture. He said, I took my picture down on Facebook of my combine and replaced it with my wife. And I said, well done, man,
Yes.
well done.
Yes.
What do you find on most women's pictures on social media?
Well, kids and grandkids for sure, or pets. People are just as bad about putting all these pictures of their pets up instead of their spouse. So yeah, it's funny. Sometimes somebody will message us, and we speak all over the country. We meet so many people, and sometimes we just have to look somebody up and go, okay, let's remember. Let's put a face with this name that, we know these people, but we need to just remind ourselves. And we'll just get on their social media and scroll forever to even find a picture of the person. And then they may not have a picture of them with their spouse at all. And it's, I don't know, to me, social media, that's part of what social media is to help you connect with people. And it's hard to do that when you don't have any pictures of who you are.
Yeah, and a picture
who's important to you in
Yeah.
your world.
Yeah.
So-
Somebody said, and I read that the world can tell you what you're passionate about by looking at your social media pictures. And so you might want to take a look at your pictures on social media and see what you're passionate about. And if one of those is not your spouse, you probably need to do something about that.
That's right.
So what's a third way that we can let the world know?
Third way is PDA. You know
Wow.
what PDA is?
PDA, I like PDA.
Yes, public displays of affection.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, we're not saying, inappropriate or gross people out, but
I like that idea though.
no, nobody wants to see that.
Okay. PDA, that means hold hands in public. That means sneak a kiss in public. There's not anything wrong with that. All those sort of things, it's good. Let the world know. We had a couple where we had a waitress one time at the Cheesecake Factory in Arizona while we were out there one time in the Phoenix area doing a workshop. And we were waiting in line. We had our little buzzer waiting for our turn to come up, and it was kind of crowded at the check-in station, so we were kind of off in our little corner, and Lee was snuggled up close to me, and I think we were kind of smooching every now and then, and we just had a lot of PDA going on. We didn't know anybody, we didn't think anybody knew us, and the waitress, as she was taking us to our table, said, I saw y'all while y'all were waiting in line. Are y'all newlyweds? And I said, yes, we are 30 years worth of newlyweds. And I just thought that was cool because, you associate newlyweds with someone who has a lot of PDA. And you may not be newlyweds, but you can still act like that,
Yeah.
Hold hands in public, hold hands at the mall, wherever it is. Show a little PDA.
That's right.
That's healthy.
Let your spouse know that you're proud of them, and it just kind of says it to the whole world.
The world can see, hey, those
Yes.
are pretty. I always want to ask people, I do see couples displaying some PDA, and I always just kind of want to stop and go, how long have you been married?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think I'd probably be glad I did, and other times I might not. They might just kind of go, well, we're not married.
Right.
And they'd be like, oh, great, And then you'd see the couple walking 6 foot apart, and you go, how long y'all been married? Well, 30 years. But show have a little PDA. There's not anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Touch your spouse in public. Scoot over close on the church pew and snuggle with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
We can't do that in vehicles anymore because we have a center console, and
Yeah.
but when we were dating, that was the thing. I would scoot right over next to you.
We had the front
In the
seat
middle
of my
seat.
pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mom asked one time, who was that was sitting so close to you? That was her words. Who was so close to you in your truck? And I said, that's little Lee Keeney,
Yeah.
And that was about the first time when we kind of started dating a little bit. But
That's right.
if you still got one of them vehicles, maybe you need to get out and go for a ride up close.
Sit in the middle seat.
There you go. What's another way you can show the world that you're proud of your spouse?
Wear your wedding ring.
I think that's good.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Wear your wedding ring. If you can't wear a wedding ring because of your work, consider getting one of those silicone rings. But something, let the world know that, hey, I'm a married person. And I know there's nothing that's going to stop somebody from going, wedding rings don't keep people from being unfaithful. Wedding rings don't tell people that don't know you, hey, this guy's off limits or this woman's off limits. But a wedding ring reminds you, it reminds me, hey, I'm committed and I'm taken. And it will let the world know, hey, this person is obviously proud to be married because they're wearing a wedding ring.
Yes.
You had a guy hit you up in Lowe's home improvement store one time. I was 2 aisles over. I knew I shouldn't have left you alone.
And I always have on my
You had on
wedding
your
ring.
wedding ring that day too, didn't you? But he may not have been looking. But I
don't
remember
know. Yeah.
he came up and said, I'm sorry, but can I ask if you're single? But hey, what a better place to pick up a girl than a
right.
Lowe's
Home improvement
store. You know, he knew a keeper when he saw one. She was taking nobody. Sorry about that. Wear your wedding ring. That is a good thing to do. It just simply reminds the world you're taken. What's another way of letting the world know?
I think checking in
I
is
do
a
too.
great way. If you're, with your buddies or something and you just haven't talked to your spouse in a while, just, send a text, call real quick and say, hey, I just want to check on you. I'll be home in an hour, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love it. And I think if your phone rings and you're just out and you can answer it and it's your wife or your husband and there's a text message, it never stops me one drop to go, hey, this is my wife. Give me just a 2nd Let me answer this or talk to her. It lets the world know his wife is important to him.
That's right.
And so when you check in, when you're out and you tell somebody, hey, yeah, I'll go with you, but give me a second, let me check in with my wife, or give me a second, let me tell my husband where I'm going because he might be worried or he's expecting me, whatever it is, that lets the world know, hey, she finds value in her relationship with her husband or vice versa. And so checking in with your spouse, letting the world know, hey, I need to check with my wife to see if this is okay. I need to check with my husband to see if he's good with this, if there's not any other plans. That's just common sense. It's called respect. So don't make a big deal out of checking in. Just check in. Let the world know, hey, they obviously love their spouse because they're willing to check in.
Yeah. And don't do just the opposite, where if your phone rings and you look at it and see it's your spouse, go, oh, it's just my husband. It's just my husband. I'll call him later. That doesn't send a very good message to whoever you're with.
It does not.
So,
It does not.
yeah.
You let them know I need to take this if I can. And we mentioned, we did an episode a few months ago on using your cell phone as a tool to bless your marriage. And one of the things you said was, which I thought was a great point, was have a specific ringtone and message tone that's just your spouse's. So you can kind of go, I don't know who that is, but that's not anything to worry about.
That's right.
But that little beep that went off is my wife's beep, and I'm gonna check my phone and see who that was.
And we do that with each
We
other.
do, and I think that's pretty awesome.
And so, if I'm at the grocery store and I'm trying to shop for groceries and my text tone goes off in my purse, I'm like, I can look at that in a minute. But if it's yours, I think, well, he may need something. And so I always check it.
Yeah.
So
That is just awesome. That makes me feel so good.
yeah.
So check in. Checking in is a great way to do it. Number 6 out of 7 ways to tell the world you're proud of your spouse is proudly introduce your spouse to others. Now, that just means that if you are, if your spouse is with you, say, hey, meet my wife, or meet my sweet wife, or meet my better half. You don't have to do that, but just it lets the world know you're proud of your spouse. If you just say, hey, meet my wife, Lee, or have I introduced you to my husband, Trey. So introduce your spouse to other people. That lets the world know that, hey, this person's important.
It does. Yes.
We have a little trick. We're just going to throw this out there, and I'm going to let the world know this. Lee said a while ago, sometimes we meet thousands of people, and sometimes we can't remember everybody and can't remember everybody's name, especially kids. Kids are the worst. And when I say kids, you'll have known a kid when they were 12, 13, 14, and they're growing up at 25 going, do you remember me? And you're like, no, you changed, And so our game we always do is, if I introduce my wife to this person and I don't call them by name, that means I don't know who it is. And my wife is awesome. She'll go, hi, I am Lee, and you are, And that will drag that name out, and then I'll go, yes, I know who that is, because there's a lot of times people come up and they talk to me, and I have no clue who they are. And so my wife is so good. We just kind of work that little game, and if we introduce one another to the other person and don't say, this is Mr. Jones or this is Paul Brown, and we just say, hey, I meet my wife, and then that person is supposed to go, I'm Lee or I'm Trey and you are, and so we get that name, and it works that way. So y'all just learned a pro tip.
Yes.
So introduce your spouse to other people. That's a good thing. Number 7, flirt.
Yeah, they're kind of go back to the PDA a little bit.
Back
here,
to
I
PDA.
guess.
You can flirt a little bit. Flirt on the phone. Flirt with your spouse. Sit in his lap. I guess guys, you can sit in her lap if you want to, but just be a little flirty with your spouse in public. That's all right. Or send a flirty text message. Just let the world know you're proud of your spouse. Or I have a friend, I've bragged on her in our first book, 10 Ways to a Stronger Marriage. Her name is Haley Allen, and her husband Randy is one of my closest friends in the world. He is such a good guy. And Haley, about once a month, kind of flirts with Randy on social media. She'll write something about, I'm married to the best looking guy in the world, or I married the best, my husband's the best dad in the world. She can be a little flirty on Facebook about bragging on her husband, and I promise you, he will say he hates it, but he loves it. He loves it, and he treats her really good too. So I've always thought, hey, we need more Haley Allens in this world who knows how to brag on her husband, and man, he bends over backwards to show her love and treat her like a queen. So yeah, flirt with your husband. These are just ways to tell your spouse that you are proud of them, that you're proud to be married. Be your spouse's biggest fan. You know, if there was a fan club, if somebody came along and said, I'm gonna make a fan club of your husband or your wife, you should be going, fine, but I'll be the president because I am the biggest fan. You should be the one with the t-shirt or whatever it is, but be your spouse's biggest fan. That's healthy for marriage, and that's just a good thing to do.
That is
Tell us about
exactly
next
right.
week. Next
So
week's podcast episode is
Next week's episode is we are going to be
in Alaska.
in Alaska. Yes.
So there will not be an episode next week.
We are we're going to take the week off next week and enjoy our time in Alaska, but we will be back the following week.
That's right. And if you are coming to the workshop in Alaska, we are excited that you're coming our way. It is going to be so awesome. It will be a Friday night, Saturday workshop. And it's just going to be so much fun. We've got a lot of new things that we're presenting, I think, and just stuff that's going to be fun. But we're excited about it. And if you're planning on being with us for the getaway weekend, going to be fun stuff.
Yes.
We're glad you joined us. We're so glad that you take time to be with us each week, and we hope you'll come back and be with us again.
Bye, guys.
See y'all. Y'all have a great week.